Okay, okay, we are live now, and welcome everybody to a second session of Phil's Prelude here. We're not gonna do a recap this time. If you're picking up right now, just go to the first session and do the recapping by watching that video. But yeah, we're gonna start off right where we left off last time, with Phil's character basically being rendered unconscious by blunt force trauma to the head. The final thing basically that happened was that during the fight, Phil was, or rather Red Claw was pounced on by two werewolves, two red talons at the same time, and that was too much for his loyal friend Oxspear to come in and help him, so he tucked his tail and ran off and left him for dead, basically. At which point a third red talon in his Krenos form walked forward with Red Claw starting to lose her faculties, starting to give in to her frenzying state of mind. At that point, the third red talon raised this giant bone-looking club and brought it down on her head, making it all turn into blackness, basically. Red Claw at that point will have lost her consciousness altogether. It would have not even gone into any sort of dream-like state. It will have simply gone into this disorienting, not sure if awake or asleep type of a mindset, where you're not making sense of your surroundings. It's all either blurry or all out black. What kind of a hair does Red Claw actually have in her human form?
Her hair is it's long braided red hair.
Okay. Well, in that case, Red Claw will first regain some of her consciousness when she feels like she's being dragged. She's being dragged from her hair, basically. You feel the ground underneath you just drag and scrape your skin on your face and on your body as you're being dragged. And you also feel it, of course, in your hair. You feel like somebody's pulling your hair and you're completely limp at this point. But as you're regaining your senses, it's still this very groggy, this disoriented type of a state of mind that you're in. And as you look around you, it's starting to be, it's the evening there. There's little droplets of rain coming from the sky. It's actually quite cold, and especially since you've been unconscious, now that you're regaining your senses, you feel, you're very cold inside and shaking and all that. And you feel like, or rather, you are being dragged into this red talon encampment type of a surrounding, not like an encampment with any sort of buildings or fences or anything like that. It's just that as you start to regain your sight to the best possible quality, as you look around you, you notice that there are quite a lot of red talons in their lupus form around you. Some of them in their hispo form, some of them looking bigger than others, but they're all clearly like brown, orange-ish colored, fierce-looking wolves. Very not like a common wolf that you would see every now and again in the woods. It's like they all look like they're warriors, all bearing scars, all having some sort of patches of hair missing here and there. That sort of very dangerous looking crowd that you're in the middle of. And one of them in hispo form, in this giant wolf form, is dragging you by your hair with its teeth. And as it's dragging you, you see that this basically like there's all around you. There's wolves. Like this one wolf is not like dragging you all alone in, in this kind of a well, basically he has a group around him, and as you kind of arrive into this encampment of red talons, he lets go of his grip, and you kind of regain yourself at the moment of him releasing the grip, as your head kind of falls on its own weight to the ground. That's like muddy and soft, this kind of soil, but it has like stones in it that have been scraping your body as you've been dragged, and this kind of wet, cold air, and you see all around you. You've been almost like, yeah, you've been circled by red talons who all look at you with this kind of ferocious and this kind of hateful, just this kind of spite that you can read in their eyes and in their expressions that they hate your guts as they're looking at you. And you're laying there in the nude, in the muddy, cold ground with red talons around you, all snarling and growling and gritting their teeth at you.
Oh, as I regain my consciousness, I'm feeling every scrape, every grime of dirt that has been building up along my flesh as I've been drugged through the muck and possibly through their excrement as well. Now I'm just covered in all their crap and stuff, and I begin to slowly push my way up to set upright, and as I do, I see those hateful gazes upon me, and I meet theirs with a mixture of rage and equal hatred. For now I am remembering how I got into this situation, and these flashbacks, these brief flashes of remembering Oxspear just tucking tail and running away, burned into the back of my mind. I see this coming to the forefront, and my mouth kind of snarls a bit as I look around, but I know I'm outnumbered. And as I do so, I look to them, and then my weakened voice, well, what happens now then?
You see that they react with a lot of them looking at each other, kind of like, "Did you hear what the ape said? Let's see how much spirit it's left in that little rugged little body of yours." And one of them steps forward in this kind of crouched, kind of low position with its snout poking upwards, and its lips all rolled up with all its gums and teeth all revealed and all like really expressive. They're like licking its gums and looking at you straight on with these big eyes, just this kind of, and it's like really like it's like creeping closer in this very firm way. It's like it's looking to fight you. Just one of them, and it's in lupus form, in the regular wolf form. And all the other wolves around are also very much like you can feel. It's almost like this kind of shot of adrenaline is going through all of their bodies. They're all like they're all getting like amped up. Almost like these attack dogs where you like tell them the correct words and they get like amped up. They're all of them are getting like this animalistic instinct, like this kind of getting pumped type of a feel that's going all around you.
Oh, I definitely feel that energy reverberating off of me, and I clench my hands right into the ground, and I just dig my claws into my nails into the earth, and I muster up what strength I can to just get back up, and I begin to get excited off that as well. This prospect of fighting, I think to myself, at least to die here, at least I'll be fighting. I'll take out as many as I can, she'll be thinking in her mind. And she'll begin to put herself in a position to where if he gets too much closer, she's going to show him what this ape can do.
Okay. As he gets closer and closer, this kind of tension between you two is starting to get really locked. You kind of locked eyes with one another, and at that point, it's like almost like the other wolves are much more in this kind of blurry state of vision. It's like this tunnel vision, like here's my enemy type of thing, and you see like from his body posture that he's just about to clearly leap at you, and at that moment you feel like behind you one of the wolves in hippo form, in the giant wolf form, leaps forward and clamps its jaws on your long hair and yanks you to the ground from behind, and you just slam into the ground in this aggravating way with this mud splattering everywhere, and these small stones hurting you here and there, and this just infuriating like humiliation type of stuff where you get jumped from behind, and you can feel like the one wolf that was eyeing you for a fight in front of you is moving much more quickly, forward now that you're on your back on the ground.
Well, now that I'm on my back on the ground, I'm going to pretend that he has the upper hand, and I'm going to act very weak and very feeble at this point. And as soon as he gets in close, I'm going to then take my hand and grab it right underneath of his throat, and then using my thumb, that ape-like thumb, I'm just going to just jam it right into its esophagus and just start to choke him out slowly. Now, he's strong, though, in this form. That's okay, because now he has a hard time breathing, and that's when the other hand's going to get in there, and then I'm going to wrestle on top of him, and I'm just going to slowly choke him, even though the other one's got my hair. I want to just grab him and put him on the same ground that I am.
Yeah, as you do that happens. Like it comes to attempt to attack your face, but that's when your hands do get that little grip that you described, and you do get that thumb, pressed on that esophagus, and you do see that he immediately gets really like provoked from that. Like you attempt to choke him, and he starts to let out these kind of same sort of sounds as dogs do when they like drag on their leashes, and they're like, and it's like this just this kind of slob just flying everywhere as he's just jerking his head around, and these jaws just clamping shut, these kind of like right next to your face, these giant, these giant like teeth just right in front of you, and this slob just flying all around and in your face as you're gripping the hold, and you still feel like the teeth are gripping your hair, though it's not like pulling in any specific direction. But as you have that chokehold there, and you feel like actually the only way that he seems like he would get out of that hold right now would be to shapeshift or just like back off. And he's not doing either. He's just trying to get at you, but you're holding him at bay. But at that point, a third wolf from the same circle, from your right side, comes in and clamps, in his regular lupus wolf form, clamps its jaws on your wrist, on your forearm, and just and starts to yank this forceful yank of your hand away. He's in such a good position to use his full body weight and his thick neck that you lose your grip on choking the wolf that's on top of you, but and also his teeth like lacerate and grind your skin and your flesh on your forearm, and it's very painful. These sharp, molar teeth of a wolf just like rending on your flesh on your hand, and you feel like at this point it's like 3 against 1, even though the one only has your hair, but it still feels like you're totally being like that you're completely handicapped in this situation.
Oh man, while that happens, I start to dig down deep and I begin to try to find anything I can to fight back. And feeling this pain, I use that as a fuel for my rage. And then I just think back to Oxfear and why I'm in this situation in the first place. And I begin to semi shapeshift into my secondary form. And then as I do so, I take my hand, the one that's free, the one that's still stopping him, while this one's being dragged away, I immediately let go, and then just as he's going to clamp forward with his mouth, I shove my hand right down its throat. Boom, right inside there. And as I do so, I let my fingers crawl in deep inside of his esophagus as he's like chomping down on my hand and go, "You want to eat me? Then eat this." And then I drag my claws right inside of his mouth, and then I just yank out, letting his friend on his other wrist, on my wrist, watch in horror as his friend now loses the inside of his mouth and his throat and his all gets ripped out, his tongue and all, right in my hand.
Oh man, it's when you're in your glabra form, your nails aren't that they're not like these giant
Right.
hawk-like talons that you do have when you're in your Krynos form, but in your glabra form, you still have you know, tough nails and such. But it would be a bit far-fetched for you to be actually able to like grab his insides for,
Gotcha.
but you
Well,
will be able to, like, let's say, sink your
uh,
claws in and yank, half of
well,
his
well,
tongue out or something.
well, in that case, I won't do that, but I will choke him because what I will do now is now I've got my hand down his throat. I'll just form it into a fist, and now he can't breathe, and I'm just gonna just leave it in there. It's like, "Argh!"
Okay, cool. It's basically you're doing what is being done to your other hand. You're gonna clamp onto him and not let go, and he's gonna rip himself into shreds. And that's actually what happens. It's like you see that's, or actually you don't see because you don't pay attention to little things like that. But if you were, you would see that the wolves around you are kind of looking at you like like this is not what they expected, type of thing. They expected like a submission at the face of clear, like odds being stacked against you, type of thing. But as you're fighting back, and you're fighting back this ferociously, it's kind of gotten a lot of them kind of freezed, and it's like there's this momentary like stillness in the air, type of thing. You do grab your hand in his mouth and you clamp it inside there, and you do see that he gets this very strong gag reflex, and immediately he'll like just like if he were to have his teeth clamped like is being done to your other hand, he's just like trying to like jerk his body further away from you with sheer strength as your other hand is being, pulled and jerked by the other one. The pain is starting to get really tremendous in your hand that's being or your arm that's being pulled by one of the wolves around you, and at that point, basically, right before you can feel like already see like the eyes are kind of getting crooked in his face as you're trying to choke him. You feel your hair being let go, and this giant hispo werewolf head coming over your body from basically where the top of your head would have pointed, coming like over your body and just clamping on that forearm that was choking the wolf around in front of you. At which point it will just have the like the automatic reaction of first you feel your hand like automatically letting go, at which point you can just feel the slimy throat and inside of the mouth just like slide off of the hand, and just this kind of and you can see like blood coming out of its mouth, like you did some real horrible damage there with the time you had for him. But at the same time, the hispo size bite on your hand, it doesn't only squeeze your hand like all like fingers pointing in all directions, but it keeps clamping down and clamping down to the point where you feel like the sharp molar teeth are puncturing your flesh and your tendons and severing your nerves inside your hand, inside your forearm, and eventually you can feel the two bones in your forearm break.
Ooh.
And that sends the like alarm bells in your brain. You get overwhelmed with excruciating pain. The pain of getting the other arm yanked was more like a police dog style thing, where your hand was more like controlled and clamped on tight, type of thing. Even though it hurt, this is just horror. This is just an incredible amount of excruciating pain being dealt to you, which will have a very strong effect on you keeping your faculties and not submitting into to your animalistic instincts of rage.
At this point, I'm feeling all this surge of pain, on my right arm, my left arm, and at this point, she feels like this might be the end, so she's going to go down fighting, and she lurches her body forward, and gets right up close to him as he's biting down on her left arm, and then she just takes her mouth and just bites down on his muzzle instead, and just rips the teeth right into his muzzle, right on the nose.
All right. At this point, you are losing your faculties. You're losing your willpower and your self-control. You are basically giving in to your animalistic, beastly instincts, and your frenzying. At this point, the hand being let's see, you were choking with your right hand most likely, so that was the hand that's still kind of fine. So it's your left hand that's been broken now. So you're basically, you got the Hispo head was coming from atop of you, from basically your head's direction, and since it was got your hand, you will have rolled upright enough to bite him in the snout at this point. And since you're frenzying, you've shapeshifted into your Krinos form. So in this situation, you're just, all you see is just this blurry, you feel this just like napalm running through your veins, and all you see is just like red and black. Everything is the shade of red and black type of thing. Everything is just like, you hear this pulse in your ears, this just really strong like pounding of your heart, and you just feel this animalistic, this just kill or be killed mentality just flood your mind, and you clamp your teeth down on its snout as it's biting down on your arm. And you just feel the two of you just like locked in this situation of both just this meeting of these two ferocious, almost like natural forces in this kind of smaller scale, and just this, and you hear the wolf that was that you choked. By the way, as you turned up, you would have been able to, as you were frenzy, you would have ripped your right hand from the mouth of one of the regular wolf formed red talons that was holding your right hand. And as you're clamping your teeth on the snout, you hear one of the one that you choked basically like cough up blood and go, "You're dead, bitch! You're dead!" And at that point, you feel this blunt force on your forehead. This just like this very strong fist, just boom, like it doesn't really even hurt that much. It just pushes you away, and it like not like all out concussive type of feeling, but this disorienting, this blunting, this kind of this almost losing consciousness, not losing consciousness, but almost this kind of it like snaps you out of your frenzy, but it still leaves you in this very groggy state. It's like you feel this fist coming into your forehead, and just you feel like this bunch of flesh, like you feel your own jaws clamp shut as a reaction, and you do feel that some tissue and sinew and blood was left between your teeth, and you hear this yelp, this kind of as that happens, as you fall basically on your back to the ground, but you're groggy and you can feel wet blood all around your face, and you see that in front of you there is a werewolf in Krynos form, who has the Hispo formed wolf that broke your hand, has grabbed him by basically the skin of the neck, like you would grab, like a dog when it's bad or something, and it's just grabbed it with its claws sunk into it, and it's again this brown orangish wolf, and it's just it's just like clamped its claws into the flesh, and it's just yelling. It's like forehead to forehead with the Hispo, and it's just screaming at him that this is against Blood Belt's orders, you scum. And they're like looking around at each other, and they're like, "This bitch killed two of my men this morning. You can be damn sure we're gonna get some payback on this cunt." And the Krynos that's there is like, "Orders are orders. I don't want to hear any crying when our enemy does the same to our men. If this is the standard you want to set, then is it?" And they're like cowering a bit, and he shoves the Hispo away, not like toss him away, but in this very disrespecting way, just shoves him off, and is kind of like breathing heavy. And after that, basically at this point, you will have like gained your faculties again. You feel the incredible pain in your left hand, in your forearm that's broken, with the bones sticking from your flesh, and you can feel like there's shards, like the bone didn't just like crack in half, but it's been broken into multiple sharp-edged bits that are lodged into your muscle tissue inside your mangled forearm, and you're basically feeling very cold, very vulnerable, very like you feel blood draining here and there, and you're not sure where exactly you're bleeding. Your thighs are still all mangled from the fight that you had back at the Pit Fiend territory with the Red Talons when they attacked, and you're in many ways you're pretty banged up, pretty bad, but you do have your faculties at this point.
Oh, feeling this rush of pain, all this upon me, I just naturally curl up and well, any more of you want to try your hand? Come, bring it. You will see what I bring for you.
You can one of the wolves nods his head towards the Krynos that reprimanded the big Hispo that broke your arm, and says, "How about a dead beast? You want to have a go at her then?" And immediately he gets a look, and immediately you can see the ears go back and the tail get tucked between the legs, kind of like, "Oh shit, I shouldn't have said that," type of thing. And you see that the Krynos turns his head and starts to slowly walk towards you, shape-shifting all the while into the regular wolf form, into the lupus form, so as to seem clearly to look not as threatening as before. And you can read that off his body language that he doesn't look like he's on the aggressive on by any stretch, and uh, he walks slowly towards you and says, "I apologize. This is not our way."
Really? Could have fooled me.
Save your strength. I know where my superiors are intending to send you, and all I can say is save your strength. And may Gaia watch over you. And he turns and walks off from the circle of wolves that are around you.
When he does that, I as though my head hit into the back of the dirt, and at this point now has become a comfortable pillow compared to the pain that I'm feeling now. And I just nurse that wound as best as I can, seeing the bone sticking to the sinew and the muscle. I just hold my arm close to me, and I just kind of just lay there as I know I can't really do anything else. This feeling of helplessness, a bit overwhelming, but pride gets in the way. I don't want to show that off to these bastards. I still keep my eye out, making sure that I don't try to make any other moves. But it's hard. The pain.
Yeah. Werewolves all have a natural healing factor, but it's not like Wolverine level where everything heals up, fully all the way. Like, that this will most likely heal eventually, leaving a scar. And if you pay mind to how you set the bone back into its place, it'll most likely not have much effect on anything. You'll be able to move your fingers and your wrist and all that all normally, but it will take time because it was done by werewolves' jaws. It'll be it's an aggravated wound, and it'll take time to heal. But most likely you won't be losing that arm to gangrene or anything like that. It's still extremely painful, and the wolves around you don't seem you can see the same hatred in their eyes, but they seem much more like they're holding back, and they're also like they have this sort of a resentment, this kind of you can see body language that they would like to tear you up to pieces, and they're frustrated that one of their own is there to stop them from doing that. But yeah, as you're on the cold, wet ground there, with hot blood flowing from your wounds there. One hand just rendered surface flesh wounds, and one just mangled up. It's like if you were asked to lift something heavy now, you couldn't even imagine yourself doing something like that. And after you're staying there for a little bit, you hear one of the wolves. Actually, you hear the one who was named Dead Beast, the Krynos who talked to you, yell out. He yells out, "Attention! Blood Belt is here!" And all the wolves immediately straighten up. Their ears go up, their backs go straight, and their tails go stiff, and they're all like this kind of officer on deck type of thing. You see that all the wolves around you are basically paying attention, and you see this old wolf that you saw in the Septmoot in your party, in your little monthly gathering of celebration of joyous this joyous air, being there, just celebrating your past victories and heroes of your family lines, and all this sort of stuff was interrupted by a bunch of red talents coming in with goodwill wishes, and look how it turned up. And now you see Blood Belt, the older one who had all these straps and these leather tassels and stuff all around his legs there, having all sorts of old battle scars on his body, walk in this very firm with his chin all high up and very this kind of proud manner. The amount of wolves that are around you are basically I would say there are about 10 wolves that were forming that circle around you, but here and there's like another 10 scattered around, and once Bloodbelt comes in, he's escorted by a couple of other wolves who are in hippo form. He is in his natural lupus form, but he's surrounded by these two big hippo wolves there, and he walks in so that everyone can see him and hear him, and he says, I have better news than perfect from the front line. I bring you hope. I bring you glory. What we originally planned on doing our attack and then forming defenses and staying the ground we conquered, I'm afraid that plan is now null and void. It is we don't need to do such a thing. The iron is extremely hot and we are about to strike it. I need all of you to report to the front immediately. We have overdone ourselves where we first thought we would only gain few kilometers of ground and then hold that until we would regain our forces and try to take more ground. We have taken the entirety of the Pit Fiend territory. We have decimated the Pit Fiends. No Pit Fiend draws breath to this day. They are all exterminated. We have complete control of their territory. We have the disorganized screaming eagles and bullheads on our flanks, and right in front of us is the garden itself, the prize, the mother lode that we are all here for. We will take it back the way our ancestors lost it on that day long ago. We will take it back and it will be ours. Glory will be ours. Might will make right. History will be written with us as the victors, as the heroes, and all the other tribes will see us as no more than the victims and the underdogs who proved their enemies wrong. We will take it. We will all go to the front lines. We will take the iron, and once we have it, we can hold it against any enemy. We will go there. We will kill all of their elders. We will kill their council. We will kill their vanguards. We will kill their guardians. We will kill their wardens. We will kill all of them. No Fenrir will survive this day so long as I live. Glory to Gaia. Glory to Griffin. And all the wolves around you also go, glory to Griffin. And you hear these howls, and you hear the one wolf that was named Dead Beast say, Bloodbelt, my lord, what about this prisoner? What shall we do with her? And Bloodbelt looks straight into your eyes and gives almost as if a wolf face can give, like this belittling smirk, this kind of, and he says, take her up north to Pure Love. He'll know what to do with her. The rest of you, join me on the front. We will take this day. And they all like, woo, like howls and like this kind of pumped up, this this kind of this frenzying, like berserking type of energy getting pumped into all of them. And you see that 3 wolves come to you. They're basically the wolves that were on your case. There's the one that whose snout you bit into. There's the one that grabbed your hand, and then there's the one that choked you. The one that you that was holding your wrist that wasn't doing that much damage is the one that now comes to you and basically and just immediately. In game terms, he would be expending using rage points to act quicker than you can react to. Basically, you can see he comes close, makes eye contact with you, and before you know it, his jaws are like, and he's choking you out and makes you like you would have the time basically to just flail around a little bit with your destroyed arm and such, but you would lose consciousness extremely quickly again.
Oh, at that point, I don't even bother. I just stare straight into Red Belt's eyes, and I just give him this almost a smiling smirk of my own, because in my mind now I'm envisioning how I will have his head as a club, as I will beat his allies with it. And that's the passing thoughts I have as this one's just choking me out, and I eventually just pass out.
Yeah, it's you hear like when you start to pass out, and you're like you start to see those kind of bright spots here and there as you start to lose consciousness, and it starts to fade into black and this completely foggy, just consciousness going away. You hear the sounds of the Red Talon's feet as they're starting to march towards the front lines, most likely right at the lake, which will be, you can already like imagine it'll be an extremely hard skirmish to pull off, to having to swim across a lake to an island that has like these almost like these natural walls and then this kind of Colosseum style pit. It's it'll be, it almost like, even though you hate these bastards, it's still almost like if they can take it, they've proven themselves worthy of some level of respect as a warrior, perhaps, but not on any other level, I guess. But as you start to lose that consciousness, you feel like you're getting grabbed from your hair again and dragged through the ground with the footsteps of those other Red Talons starting to march off to battle. And you being unconscious again, it's far from being asleep, where you just feel this kind of exhausted and nauseated feeling of completely like being like having your equilibrium like affected, and you're like completely shaken and confused, like in this kind of your senses being confused, and you get dragged, and you have no idea how far you've been dragged. You heard that you are going to be taken to the north, which could only mean that you're going to be taken to basically north of the territory, or the former territory of the Pit Fiends, who, according to Blood Belt's words, are all extinct now, and though you have no confirmation on that at this point. You feel like you're being taken pretty far away, so it must be basically further north from the edges of the Pit Fiend territory. But that's basically like the evening starts to set in, and it's getting to be much colder and much more like your fur is all like it's in blood, it's in mud, it's in clay, and it's in water. It's cold, and you're completely like miserable, even though you're unconscious. It's just this the sickly feeling, And at the point when you start to regain your consciousness, it's what you see before you is you're in the woods, and there's like this clearing. There's this area where there are no woods, and the ground on that's in front of you is like this, almost like this. This kind of quicksand-like mud. You can see this ground almost like jiggle. It's this kind of odd combination of moss and these little hammocks and this muddy, just this kind of this wet mud for this. What size might it be? This kind of this kind of a let's say 10 feet by 10 feet kind of circle of an area where there's this patch of this muddy, wet, liquid soil in front of you as you see it. And at that point, you see the gauntlet getting ripped in front of you. One of the wolves has torn a tear into the gauntlet between the physical realm and the spirit world of Umbra. And as you see that, just like with Pale Dread opening the tear when he stepped in to talk with the bear after that mood you guys had, you see that the fabric of reality in front of you tears into this Tesla coil style electric buzzing and crackling sounding tear that rips into this portal where you see this reflecting surface of this wobbly reflecting water like but more oily like surface, and you get dragged through it by the wolves that are there with you. They all step through it, and as you're being pulled through it, you feel this cool, calming kind of an air coming from it. You don't feel the cold and wet and miserable, state that you're in as much. But as you get pulled through it, immediately the first thing that you see right in front of you is that exactly the same area, that 10 feet by 10 feet area of this wet soil. You see that now that you're in the velvet shadow in the Umbra, you see that there's exactly the same size pit in front of you that's been dug there. There's a giant pit right in front of you, and the wolves, basically, as soon as you've been dragged there, it's like this kind of, your eyes kind of open up a little more as you're kind of, you can only guess what is to entail from this. The wolves yank back and toss you forward, and you fly through the air with arms and legs flailing, with just now starting to get fully your faculties back. You get flung into this muddy pit that's like it's like I would say like maybe 12 feet deep, maybe 10 feet deep. This muddy, just like a wolf pit. You get tossed into it with your arms and legs flailing in the air, and you fall on the ground with your neck first and the back of your head first. Again, like disorganizing and just your head getting all jumbled up. You fly through the air and just fall on your back, and you look up from that bottom of the pit that's wet. It's completely like wet mud, this smelly, stinky, horrible, like goo-like mud there. And you look up and you see that the moon in the sky in the Umbra, where the moon is like just ginormous. It's like a giant planet right next to Earth or something. It's this giant moon. When you look up, it completely like fills the edges of the mouth of the pit. Basically, the edges of the pit that you're looking up at are the complete same shape and size of the moon above you. That looks very like it looks very much like this omen-like thing that you're looking up at, that you're a prisoner of war, basically being thrown into some sort of a torture pit, and you look up at the moon, at Luna above you, in this very like.
And as I do, having the situation fall upon me and feeling the muck and the grime and still the pain, and as the consciousness comes back into me, I see the moon, all that beautiful moon. I almost for an infantile moment, I reach my right hand up as if to pluck it out from the sky, just to touch it, and I do so. And my hand kind of collapses back, and it feels back into the mud and the muck, and then my senses come back to me. And I begin to wrench my body forward, using the sides of the pit if need be to put my body upright, to get a bearing on exactly where I'm at.
Actually, as you lift your hand at the moon and your fingers like touch all the edges of that circle that the moon forms, it's like when you look there and you look from between your fingers, you can see like the light of the moon. It's at that point when you're looking through these bars that a set of bars, a lid, is being like put on the top of the pit. This kind of pit, this kind of almost like this sewer type of lid, but it's like a grated. It's like made out of tree trunks that are like crossing into these bars, and it just gets dragged like into its place. And it's when you're looking like through the bars of your fingers that a actual set of bars is set between your hand and the moon in the sky. And you feel like these, as it gets like put in its place, these small droplets of water and this mud just fall off of it and fall on your forehead and stuff as you're laying there. And that's when the kind of desperation hand falls back into its place on the ground.
I wrench myself forward, and as I do, I kind of just think out loud. I go, Red Claw, what have you got yourself into this time? Well, no matter. I'll get my way out, and I will kick all of their asses. That's what we'll do. I begin looking about, trying to see if there's any way I can climb my way up, looking for any path I can find.
It's basically, it's like basically a mud pit there. So the only options seem to be kind of like climbing or digging or jumping on the grid, but it's like 10 to 12 feet in the air. So in your Krynos form, it could be that it might be difficult at your current state of being weak, but it's like either if you would have a specific gift that allows you to do those kind of ninja style leaps, that might help. But I'm not certain if you'll actually be able to have that at the beginning point here. And also,
are there any bones or anything like that in this pit?
Actually, as you look on it, you don't see them at first because it's such wet muck, but once you start to feel around, you feel like if you put your hand on the bottom, it's like your ankle deep, but you're not sinking that deep, deeper than that. But when you put your hand in the surface of the ground there, they kind of just, this almost like a milkshake type of, your hand just sinks into this stinking mud. And as you like feel around with your hands there, you do feel at one point that you just hit you just hit a human forehead, and that's where you clearly like feel like, yeah, there's a human skull right here, like it's just covered in mud, like under the surface of the mud there. That
I'll grab it and I'll wrench it out of the mud as the sucking noise begins to make that vacuum as I pluck it out, and I kind of look into it. There's a slight caressing of it, and I gaze and I say, I know not who you belong to or who you were, but forgive me, but you're going to be my ticket out of here. And I walk over to the side of the walls and I begin to use the teeth at the top, and I begin to just use it as like a shovel. And I just make these little indentations, these little pits at the side. And I slowly do this for like I make 2 sets of them. That way I can put my hand in one, my foot in the other, and I make like basically a makeshift stairs all the way up is what I'm aiming to do. And I work slowly at this because I'm injured, and so I'm gonna make sure I have enough time to heal as I do so, and I just want to buy as much time as possible. But I'm working steadily each time, using the roof of its mouth of the skull to just kind of dig out here, dig out there, and then I put my foot up on one, hand on the other, I wrench forward, and I just repeat each time doing so.
The problem is that the walls are very similar to the ground beneath your feet, where once you make, it's like so soft that where you make when you make like a hole, it's like almost like this seepage, and this kind of like flowing wet mud just kind of fills every hole that you make with the skull there, and in a very long term you could easily either imagine yourself digging perhaps deeper enough or something. It's this kind of thing where you feel like if you were to dig a hole, it's very likely that the roof of the hole would collapse on top of the hole wherever you would dig. And if you were trying to make these little steps, they would also like cave in on itself and just like become like this semi-smooth surface on its own. But you were talking about it in this kind of a long-term way anyway, in this taking your time, getting healed, all that stuff. Before any of that, like you're not completely, like you're not left to your own devices as you're in the pit. You don't hear talking, but you hear the sound of the portal closing. Most likely the wolves that tossed you here and put the grid on top of the top of this pit have walked off and sealed the gate behind them. And very soon after that, you see a figure. You see basically a Krynos-size figure carry something in its hands and walk slowly like this, kind of to the top of that grid. That's like the grid. Basically, it's like they're thick like tree trunks. These grids that form this these bars there, and on top of them walks a figure that's clearly a Krynos, but you can only make out, the outlines, especially since the moon is so bright there in the distance that you can only make out like this dark silhouette, that it's carrying something big and flat in its arms. And when it comes to the middle of that grid there, you can see like its paws when its leg comes onto the surface of the grid, and it's kind of grips with the claws type of thing. And when it comes to the middle, it just lowers this flat thing that it was carrying, which looks now almost like a giant wok pan or something like that, like a pot, or perhaps even a giant shield or something that's this curved type of a flat instrument there, that it's dropped there or placed there on the middle of that grid, like, and you hear all these kind of casual, just type of noises there, and this kind of coughs and stuff, and you hear this water skin sound, this kind of cork coming off, and you see that the Krynos is dropping, like pouring something from this very like water flask or water skin looking giant sack that it has in its lap, just this kind of. And the only thing that you can at this point make out from this Krynos that's in front of, above you, is that in the moonlight there is a certain small speck of a glimmer on its neck. Right on its neck, there's like a bright orange marble-sized ball. You can't really make out what it is yet, but it's most likely some sort of necklace or something. But there's a bright orange ball the size of a marble on his neck as he's lowering everything. And everything around you is kind of dark grayish, aquatic blue, kind of turquoise shade of color in the Umbra, as usually it is. But the moonlight is creating lots of very pale and bright light. But these grayish, bright, little bit aquatic colors are completely like in this own kind of palette of their own. And this bright orange on his neck there really stands out, and it really stands out to you.
I just stand there and I stare. I make sure that that this Krynos can see me as well, but I just stand there. I make sure that the skull is kind of hidden out of view, and I just sit there and I wait until it's done, until it's moved on. That's and if it's after it's moved on, I'm going to then have an idea, and the idea will now be that they're expecting me to stay in this pit. But so what she'll do then is she'll start changing the game plan. She knows that she can't dig her way out up to the top there. It's too muddy. So now she'll use the mud to her advantage. She'll coat herself in it and kind of partially bury herself in the side of the walls to the point where only her eyes are partly exposed, and she sits there and just waits.
You're expecting this person to be a genome soldier of some kind, or or the Predator, but yeah, sure. You do that, and he does go away for a little bit after pouring from the entirety of the water skin there. You almost hear, like at the point where it's completely emptied out into it, you almost hear this mild little from the tree trunk grid that's on the top of the pit. As there was quite a lot, and it's kind of heavy there now on the center. You see that the Krynos does walk off, but it won't take too long for it to come back. But if you want to try that hiding thing during that time, you're of course welcome to do that. But it's kind of a desperate plan, because it does know that you're down there. But yeah, there's nothing stopping you from trying it. Do you do it on the wall, or do you do it on the ground, or
this is on the wall. I feel like that would be the easiest because it's all slimy, just like the ground. I figured that'd be the easiest. She just kind of wedges herself into the back and lets it just pour a shower over top of her form, as she just kind of wedges herself inside of it, and just make sure that she's completely covered and almost just a part of the wall itself. And she'll just sat there and just try to get her eyes just a little bit exposed and just wait.
Okay. Well, as you know, take good care for that to be very convincing and believable there as you uh, mask yourself into your environment there. You do feel that cold mud, flow all over you, and you do feel like it's covered pretty much all of you, but your eyes, of course. But yeah, you do that, and you're pretty convincingly covered there. It's like you've most likely used camouflaging techniques in the past at different points of trying to spring an enemy or something of that sort. So as you do that, when you're pretty much done, you see that the Krynos on top of the grid returns. It doesn't say anything to you again, but you see that it's there, and it has a chicken in its hands. The chicken is being held by the legs, and the chicken is, flapping its wings, and it's being all like panicky and all like, and it holds it by the legs, and it goes next to the bowl or whatever the sort of contraption he has there, and places the chicken on above that, and you can see that it jerks its head, backward, and says something. It says something in. They're either names or it's a completely a language you don't understand, but it's like words that have no meaning for you except that they, for some reason, the nature of those kind of words that you hear, they make you uncomfortable. They, for some reason, make you very. It has a negative impact on you as you hear them, as he says something. This kind of blah, 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 this very much like, he's speaking in an orc language or something, and as he says some kind of a almost either like a prayer or some sort of a declaration or something. It's like it's between you in the pit, the moon in the sky, in the between there's this grid, and then and this other werewolf saying some sort of words like this, and the bright orange dot on his neck, it starts to glow. It starts as he's like, and as he's talking, it's like he started with this mumbling that turns into these kind of yells, this kind of, this kind of, it just works its way up into this like all out yelling, and the orange on his neck just starts to emanate this bright orange light that almost moves in this kind of mist like vapor like way, and as he's like saying all these different words, he then takes one of his claws and just rips the chicken in half and just breaks it off in half with one leg in one hand and one on the other, and just drains all the blood into the bowl as well. And after it's done that, it tosses the two halves of the chicken away, and then kneels in front of it, then slurps this concoction, that's this mixture that he has there. You can just feel this, you can hear this kind of very, very loud and this swallowing sound, and then you see the orange just let out this light all around his body completely glowing in orange, this kind of reddish, orangish, yellowish, blackish, type of tone, this very like swirling light there. And then you see that he jerks forward and pukes. He pukes this. It doesn't even look like liquid. It looks like this thick smoke. This kind of smoke that you would see coming from a factory pipe. This kind of, and it's bright orange as well. It's this very like chemical, very like unnatural looking orange. Just, and when it hits the bowl, it overflows and covers the entire grid, and you can see this kind of the kind of mist, like this vapor stays, this kind of cloudy thing stays on the surface and not in the pit. It's just blah. But you can see that from that grid, what starts to fall down is this kind of spore cloud like air, these kind of small little dots as this kind of a cloud, almost like, this pollen thing, falling down. And as you're sticking there to the wall, like not trying to move, it starts like you get really like this claustrophobic kind of thing starts to kick in as you're in this muddy pit, and this some sort of a foreign substance of some sort of ill repute just starts to fall slowly downward and downward and downward, and it's like pretty soon it's gonna touch me. Pretty soon it's gonna touch me, and I won't be able to stand still. And you're like naturally holding your breath and that sort of thing as it's coming down. But yeah, it's this kind of, as you can see on the top of the grid, there's just this kind of almost like this chemistry exam, this dry ice type of thing, like flowing from it, from this Krinos puking it. And you've never seen anything of the sort. You've seen shamans do all sorts of crazy stuff. You've been, with different spirits and seen all sorts of supernatural things happen. This is something you've never seen before.
Seeing this strange sight before me, this orange fog mist coming down in these spores. She tries her best to hold her breath, but she knows it's a futile effort. Perhaps, if she can, she'll take the skull and, like, I guess, no. No, instead what she'll do is, seeing as that there's no way out, she'll have no choice but to just kind of let the spores in, I suppose. She'll have to take breath at some point, so she'll do just that.
Yeah, it'll only though you can keep your you can hold your own as long as you possibly can. Like, you will see that the spores hit the ground already before you do draw breath. Like, it's like there's no room where it wouldn't affect you, type of thing. And as soon as you do, you feel like it's almost like this pepper spray type of sensation as you let in the breath, including the spores all around you. It immediately makes your eyes puffy and watery. It immediately doesn't clog up your nose, but makes it run at this kind of unbreathable kind of state from your nose, where you're just immediately just like your tongue out, puffing for air, with your tongue feeling also a bit swollen, and you feel almost like this allergic reaction in your throat as it feels like swelling up, not like where you can't breathe, but where you feel like you have to gasp for air, where you can't do anything physically demanding without you having to suck air and fear you'll suffocate yourself from exhausting yourself or something, and it also makes your body feel almost as heavy as if it were made out of lead. It's like it's like as it fills your senses, the ability to breathe and see and hear becomes very like infringed upon, and your body's weight feels such that uh, you fall on your knees from the wall, just this kind of on your knees and onto your like side to the ground, so that your head, your like half of your forehead is under the liquid on the ground, but your nose and mouth and eyes are above it, and you can breathe, but it's not like this burning, excruciating type of thing. It's this kind of anxiety inducing, this kind of I can't breathe, I can't really move type of thing. It's this paralyzing type of agent, that's coming down there.
Uh, Not seeing any other options out of this. What she'll do is Red Fang will lay there, and she'll put herself in a position to where it'll look like that she's already succumbed, but she's doing the best that she can to hide that she is still conscious. And she'll grip that skull in her other hand, and she'll keep it hidden partially underneath the muck where it's mostly water, and she'll just keep it there for a little bit until an opportunity arises where she may use it. But she'll try her best to just kind of hold out and make it look like she has succumbed.
Okay. After that, it feels almost like an eternity, as after that whole puking vapor thing has happened. You can see that the Krinos above you on top of that grid kind of stands up after he's done all the puking, and just like almost this kind of a letting flame out of his throat, just this kind of type of thing, as it's taking steps away from the grid. And you see this the mist, the vapor, the orange flare of it has kind of as at this point already has kind of died down. It's now only this kind of mild surface kind of wet vapor there. You see the moonlight above you is like this. It's so pale of a light that the orange seems much more of a smaller color in contrast to all the others coming from the moon and stuff. And also, you don't really see after majority of the spore-like vapor has dropped to the ground. After a little while, it feels like the top ones are falling to the ground as well, and you no longer are able to see them around you, but you still feel just as crappy as you did when you first inhaled them. And
Man.
and it'll take time. There will be, I will say, there will be 5 hours before anything happens besides anything you will do in the pit. No one will. The situation with the grid and the Krinos standing there will not change in about 5 hours on its own, at least. And you're laying there with your body feeling completely heavy. You feel like the wet mud is so all around you that if you were to move your head to the wrong direction, you might accidentally drown yourself in the mud. It feels like it's a battle to raise your hand slowly, upwards or anything. It feels like you would have to put an hour at least to the effort of sitting up and another hour of standing upright type of thing. You feel like your body is just completely all of the strengths that you've always held as a warrior, as a proud warrior, as somebody who's very physical, who's most of the power and abilities and strengths of your being, and also your duty as a warrior to your community, have been stripped away from you. And even in this this immediate, like the first reactions to this kind of a state, it immediately like rushes this sort of these bad thoughts, let's say. I'll let you describe more of what your character is feeling with all this going on, because there's a long while until you'll have a long time to yourself thinking about stuff.
Oh, this feeling of helplessness once more, which is encapsulated and encompassed by the fact that that Oxspear just abandoned her. That was that same feeling of helplessness as she's being pinned down by the three other Krynos that then club her, and then that same feeling again when she's being drugged by her hair and then being attacked by the three other Lupus. That same feeling once more encapsulating her as now she's in this pit, and all that strength being drained away. All the things that she's relied upon. Oh, she grips that mud. She grips that skull very hard in her hands. She wants to crush it, but she's doing all that she can just to keep it in her hands. So she takes some deep breaths, those painful breaths, as that orange mist has done its work, its foul work upon her body. Her body like lead at this point, but she takes those breaths and she keeps her eyes closed and she focuses every last bit of mental energy and strain that she can to just save up everything for one moment, one surprise, one little thing, as she'll take those deep breaths, that feeling of helplessness, that almost feeling of that death could be around the corner at any moment, but it's a slow death. It's the worst kind of death. It's not a warrior's death. It's the death that someone who has got disease will end up having, who won't have the honor of dying in battle. Not like a Get of Fenris, she thinks to herself. No, I will die as a warrior. So she takes those breaths and she waits patiently. And that's all she can do for that moment, is that deep breath, that in and out, just to focus every ounce into 1.1 moment. She waits.
And it feels like an eternity. As hours go by, it feels like almost like you've waited an entire day or something. The thing that breaks that situation of you just laying there on your back and waiting with your hand firmly gripping on the skull beneath the surface of the mud there, is when you hear footsteps of a four-legged individual there, and you see a lupus, the silhouette, the dark silhouette of a lupus walking to the top of that grid, and you can see the same orange glowing marble-size dot on its neck there, and it goes to lay on its stomach at the edge of the grid there, with only its front paws on top of the first tree trunk there, and it's sitting there, and you can see that it's looking down at you, not saying anything.
Oh, getting that feeling, I then feel like that my moment is near, so I remain motionless. Keep those eyes closed. I grip that skull even tighter in my palm, and I wait. I wait inside that muck with my form exposed, with my body bare and covered in filth, but that's fine. That's fine. The reward will be all the better.
You hear, as you're thinking this, you hear, it feels like you haven't heard anyone speak in a long while, because the 5 hours that you laid on your back there, completely moist, you don't know if you have like already bed sores or something. Well, that's not in 5 hours, but you feel like you're helpless old woman, or a leper or something of that sort. Like you said, like dying some not dying a warrior's death, but of someone who's like deceased or something. What breaks this kind of atmosphere is when he talks on top of the grid. There, you hear this. There's such little sound around you that almost like this surface splashing from your fingers moving or something feels like a big noise, because it's so silent all around you, and you hear your own heartbeat there, especially since you're laying in the liquid mud there. You can hear your ears are so close to the surface of the mud there that you can hear through the liquid surface there. You can hear your own heartbeat, and you can feel it thumping there, and it's all broken by this very low tone voice that you can hear very audibly because it is so silent. But he just says out of the blue, "What is your name?"
Well, after a while, she'll remain silent still, hoping that he'll think that she's knocked out completely. So she'll keep that charade up for just a little bit longer.
He'll wait for a little bit, only like 10 seconds, and then he'll say again, "What is your name?"
Well, at that point, she'll wrench herself up forward, putting her back up against that mud-filled wall, and then looking up, she'll say, "Red Claw."
Red Claw. Why do you harbor humans, Red Claw?
Harbor humans?
Why do you harbor humans, Red Claw?
Because I was one, once.
You feel it's your moral duty because you were once a human, Red Claw?
Yeah. No different than you being around other wolves, is it not?
It's completely different. Wolves and humans are as far apart from each other as possible. You feel you have obligation to humans?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, partly. It's not too much, but well, we'll have to start somewhere. Is that not how the blood is passed on?
The humans tear down your forests, they fish dry your lakes, they hunt empty your woods, they build woven buildings, they create unnatural constructs out of natural fuels. Why do you harbor these parasites, Red Claw?
Because I was once a parasite. I am no longer. I am much more. And yet, there is a certain kinship I feel. No, they're not perfect. They're blind, like children. They wonder with their hands outstretched, feeling, and yet they are still kin. Perhaps one can teach a child the old ways, and they may yet learn.
Humans cannot ever ascend to what we are. We are above humans. Humans serve no purpose to Gaia. Why do you harbor humans, Red Claw?
If that is the case, then why did Gaia bless us with the form of them? Tell me that.
The form is a tool, Red Claw. It is nothing more than a tool. It is a tool for making tools to further glorify Gaia. Humans do not know of Gaia. Humans find Gaia irrelevant and will never embrace her. Instead, they worship Weaver constructs like their gods and their trinities in their misbegotten anthills made of brick and stone and wood stolen from our forests. Why do you harbor these parasites, Red Claw?
I already told you. I was once one of them. I once went to those churches, and I once prayed and worshipped. And then one day, I awoke, and I found and I take my hand and I beat up against my chest. I find out who I really was underneath of this flesh. I was no longer Petra. Red Claw is who I am. It's because I was once one of them. That is why we can harbor them. It's because in some tiny way, they are still a part of us.
Sorry. Cat came into my concentration. He says that you acknowledge your superiority to them, yet you still harbor them. They serve no purpose other than your own personal emotional satisfaction with some sort of a misguided duty to their species. Why
Well,
do you harbor humans? Why do you harbor parasites? Why do you put up with these destroyers, Red Claw?
well, as far as destroyers go, they are used for breeding as well. After all, you cannot breed two werewolves together. You get a mentis.
Of course, but that is irrelevant. Wolf-born werewolves make the greatest stock in any event. You are no more than an enabler.
Yeah, and some of those humans have that blood in them, and they have yet to be awakened.
They will awaken into the life of being another enabler. They are also irrelevant. They will all die.
At this point, she'll just wrench her body upwards, and she'll just stare straight up to that moon, straight up at his eyes. Well, it looks like you've already made up your mind. In any case, I'm not going to let you do that. It's the last thing I do.
I have made up my mind, but you haven't made yours because you have insufficient knowledge of the world around you. I am here to right that wrong, Red Claw.
You shall see.
Tell me, why do you hate humanity, Red Claw?
Hate them. And she kind of stares back down, looking at that skull once more. The same reasons that I didn't like when I was growing up. Always being poked fun of. The kids always staying away from me. I always got angry. Always angry. I always wanted to be by myself, be in the woods. They didn't understand. And what the humans don't know, they hate. Yeah, I didn't like them for a long, long time. But that's until I awoken. I understood. I don't hate them. Not all the way.
They're all blind sheep and slaves to their own self-made social constructs that breed nothing but hate and fear and destruction. Yet you defend them. Why do you defend and harbor these parasites, Red Claw?
Well, that is really a decision that I never got to make. That was tradition, something that I was told to. Yes, I guess you could say that was it. But I
So
didn't really think I needed a reason. Why should I have to have a reason to tolerate them or to keep them around? It's because I feel like it. That's why. It's because I choose to. Because I am a Get of Fenris! And if we wish to harbor humans, then so be it!
you're speaking as a your reaction is purely emotional, fueled by your own social constructs of tradition and pride and other forms of mind control that your tribe is nefarious for using. You are blind. You are an enabler against your better judgment. And I'm here to show you a better way, Red Claw.
Really? By sticking me in a pit and forcing that foul mist down my throat.
It is much less than you actually deserve. You have killed your own kin. You have killed red talons. You've killed wolf-born werewolves. You have protected your brethren who are all enablers just like you. You deserve no better than death, but I have given you a second chance.
Death. Oh, you speak of me as some sort of murderer, huh? Well, if your kid hadn't have rushed upon us and tried to kill us, then maybe some of them would have been still yet alive. You made this first move. Your clan attacked ours. We merely defended what belongs to us. I heard your leader's bravado of speech. No. No. It is you who have treaded upon our territory. And now you seek to make me think otherwise. Red Claw is not stupid. But Red Claw is angry. And trust me, if I ever get out of here, there will be more blood of your kin to answer for what you've done, and then a blood of an ally who dared run away when he should not have. She slides her back up against the mud and just kind of slides down, sitting, still holding the skull in hand.
You do not deserve anything that can be taken away from you. It's as simple as that. It is law of nature. Dog eat dog. That is how it works. You speak of your territory as if it were a right, but rights are not rights if they can be taken away. They're merely privileges, and your privileges have been revoked by sheer force of nature, which is what we are. And yet, as you say, your own enabler brother has left you for dead for his own meager fear.
Yes, that is true. But you know what? That same logic, your your kin didn't deserve to keep their lives. They weren't cunning enough to keep up with me as I gutted them.
True. I do not deny this. You are right in that perspective. It is only that I find it reason to mourn the death of a lupus over the death of a Hamid and in the Hamid's hands, Alupas's death is disheartening. We are of a superior bloodline to you, but you do not need to die for it. You have a place in our future.
Really? And what is that place exactly?
By our side, at the time when we can finally trust you. This is what I'm here to figure out from you. I'm trying to trust you, and believe me, it is extremely demanding for me to do so.
If you want to wonder about why we harm humans so much, why don't you walk around in their skin for a while? Talk like them, walk like them. In fact, why don't you do yourself a favor and talk to one of them? Make friends with one of them.
Irrelevant. Humans do not provide anything useful to us. Whatever a human could possibly have as insight towards us is of an inferior opinion and of an inferior mind and of an inferior soul and of an inferior awareness. I have no patience for humans other than as a corpse.
And how can you stand my thoughts on it if you lack patience on your end?
Because you still have promise. You are one of us. You have ascended from being a human, but yet you still enable humans. You harbor humans. You protect humans, and you even give them part of your territory, and you put up with it. Why, Red Claw? I do not need your reasons of emotional attachment or the feeling of duty towards an entire species. What I wish to know is, why do you not have, why won't you have a way with them? Why won't you simply remove them from the equation?
Have you lost mind, or have you actually been far from the woods to see man's world? It is vast. Vast. You think you can wipe all of them out? It's like you say, like ants, yes? Well, there are lots of ants. One can never squash all of them, but there will always be more. And there are lots of humans. Let us say that we do dispose of the ones here. That will only make others question what happened to them. And then they'll come. Oh, they'll come. They'll have their weapons, their armor, their silver, and they'll use it.
They are ignorant of silver. They will not use it. And your analogy of ants is ignorant and irrelevant, because ants provide an incredibly important duty towards the whole ecosystem of this entire planet, this entire world that we're on. Don't know, it's a planet. And if all of them would die off, this entire wilderness would die off with them. Humans do not provide anything. There are only givers and takers in this world. Humans fall to the latter category. There is no single positive effect of a human life towards nature in any perspective.
Oh, well then in that case, be my guest. Go out there and try to wipe them all out and see what happens. Humans might be weak, but they are cunning.
I see that you are you're not giving up, are you? You're not becoming indifferent to the fate of humans, are you?
I care about heading back to my tribe. I care about completing my task. I care about climbing out of this pit.
Why expend useful energy in such affairs when your entire tribe is as good as gone? You are as good as gone unless I get to you. Your entire tribe will be decimated. Your entire tribe will be annihilated. There will be a genocide in these woods, and it will include the humans you harbor. It will include all the members of your sept, of your elders, of your council, of every pack surrounding it, including your own, including the one that tucked its tail and left you to die, and it includes all the rest. You have a place in the future that we are here to build.
You will find the Get of Fenris do not surrender quietly. And before, even if you do manage, which I doubt, you will find that your numbers will be so decimated, you'll have to tuck tail and run. You won't be able to be strong enough to keep what's yours for long. Others will find it. Other tribes will come and they'll take it. But you won't take it from us. I believe that we will hold strong. We are the Get of Fenris. We accept any challenge. I accept any challenge, and she pulls herself up, will get out of this hole.
You are beginning to get on my nerves, little pup. Your dedication to your tribe falls on deaf ears. They are not here to congratulate you for your shows of loyalty. Your entire sept's deeds and actions in this conflict will not be remembered. In fact, they will be remembered by the songs we will sing after this whole event is over, and they will be sung as cowards and as the kinds that left you for dead, as the true nature of your kind was finally shown to your eyes there, and you still managed to defend the likes of him and the likes of stock his kinds are bred from. We have plans of selective breeding and creating our battle lines as soon as this battle is over. We have plans for the future. You have none. There are no plans of the Fenrir. There are none. We have an entire campaign of conquest ahead of us. You will either be part of it or you will be dust flying in the wind with no one remembering your name, no one remembering any of your deeds, and your existence will be null and void. Now tell me, why do you harbor parasites, Red Claw?
At this point, she just kind of stares up and just looks him in the eye, and she goes, "Just to piss you off." And then she gives out a big smile.
And as a reaction, you can see that he was expecting something good, almost like he's like squeeze something meaningful out of you. And when you say that, it's just you can see the frustration just drill into his head, and he just like turns his snout away, and just you can see he pukes again. This thick orange reddish mist, just this, it looks like, this sort of some sort of internal acid like that explodes out of his mouth and straight on top of you, and it burns as if it were something like sulfuric acid or something like that. It digs into your under your fingernails and into the burrows of your ears, and it makes your eyes, you don't want to open your eyes so that your lids don't none of it would get on your eyeballs, and it just burns everything it touches, and you can feel this kind of this as smoke would be coming off of your body, and you're in such a small space with your body feeling like it's made of lead. It's like you don't even have space enough to flail around in, and you're just it's impossible to avoid frenzy at this point. But at the same time, it's not like you're going to do much because you're so you're physically so strained. But it's like this barrel worth of toxic waste just being dumped on you, and it's just you again, just like your eyes explode open, and you just see again shades of black and red, and you hear your blood pump, and you feel like your veins are filled with the same kind of burning substance as what's on top of your skin, and you just feel yourself flailing forward as much as you can, like it's extremely exhausting, just these type of things where one flail feels like you're flailing, a small car, and it's like, ooh, that took all out of you, and you swipe the muddy wall with your werewolf fingers, just, and the mud just falls back into its place, and after a little while, you can feel yourself just like a bull, just like this air of this, mist just puffing out of your nostrils as you again fall on your back on the ground, completely spent, feeling again heavy as lead, with this kind of it kind of fades away after a while. But even though the stinging and the burning aspects fade away, it feels like your fur is burned. It's clumped together. It sticks together because of this liquid. It's burned off from here to here. There's patches of bald flesh here and there with no hair on it at all, and you don't even want to know what your face looks like. It's just this completely exhausting feeling as you're laying there in this anguish and completely rendered immobile, as you look up and you see the grid, on top of the grid the smaller black pan, and in the sky the very large bright white circle of the moon. So there's the circle of the edges of the pit, the circle of the pot, and the circle of the moon there, all rendering different parts of your suffering here and what you can't reach. And the wolf who puked on you is nowhere to be seen. And again, it'll take about 5 hours before you'll see him again. So you'll have a lot of time to yourself again.
I wrench myself upwards, and I just kind of grab that skull once more, and I just kind of wonder what this. I wonder if this is if this is the same problem that this person met. And I was thinking, about, what did this lupus put you through the same thing? I wonder. Is this my fate as well? To be forgotten in this mud pit in the Umbra. And then she grips the skull tighter, and she remembers all that has happened, and her anger boils, and she says, "No, I will not submit like this." She takes the skull, mustering everything she has. She begins to try to claw away at the side of the mud wall, to try to make it collapse a little more, to try to loosen up something, maybe cause some tiny little mudslide to widen the path so that she can make her way up somehow.
Yeah, it's actually first it kind of you find it actually quite motivating when you start to see that, hey, I can, like, if I'm fast enough and strong enough to clamp like a big clump of the mud off, as it would fall off, it would have to, like, start to come down from the top as well. But it's like you don't know what's beyond the edges. So once you start to dig more and more, and you actually do see the edge a little bit, like cave in, it is immediately, as it goes from this to kind of this, there's this kind of flow of this mud from from its edges. It's almost like it's in the pit is in some sort of a tilted angle with more slimy mud all on the ready to flow in and fill in for any gaps. And it's like this flowing clay muddy substance just filling the hole and just like squirting down into the pit further. It feels like a pretty desperate situation, and even though you don't lack for will, you haven't found a way yet.
In that case, she's going to stop what she's doing, and then she's going to just lean her back up against the corner edges and just kind of slide back down, sitting, scratching her head, thinking, there's got to be a way out of here. And then glancing back up, awaiting another visit from our friendly neighborhood questioner.
And you remember that blood belt named him Pure Love. That sent her to Pure Love up north, and you remember that name now that you're thinking back on it, as you hear the footsteps again, and this time you see that the wolf comes again to the edge and is standing there and looking down at you. What are you doing? Are you just leaning there and letting him see that you're conscious, or?
Yeah, I'm not hiding it at all. I'm just gonna sit there and just stare right back at him.
He looks down and just again begins with the same question. What is your name?
Red Talon. I mean, Red Claw.
Why do you harbor humans, Red Claw?
Her head just slumps down again as he asks that same question. What answer would you like me to give?
Not that one. I want you to acknowledge your failures and your weaknesses before we can work on fixing them. Why do you harbor parasites?
Parasites. Parasites, eh?
Exactly.
I don't know. Maybe we like the challenge. Maybe it's because I'm a little human.
Very well. You see that he jumps down.
Ooh.
He comes from between the grids. He like lowers his front body and heightens his back legs, and he leaps into the mud with his legs going deep into the liquid there, and he's there in front of you on the other side of the pit there, standing looking at you very firm. And now only this close you actually like make out more than his silhouette. You see that he is brown, orangish, a werewolf, just like all the other red talons. You can make out that he's quite old, that you don't think he's an elder from the way that the other werewolves reacted to him, like take him to pure love type of thing, like that. They didn't seem to talk about him in a very revered way, in that sort of way, and also having a position of maintaining some sort of a torture chamber doesn't seem like something an elder would do. But he does seem old. He has like gray on his chin and on his around his snout there, and he has a lot of like long hairs coming out of his ears and all that sort of stuff. He has like these little bags under his eyes, but he does look like fierce. He does look fierce, but old and old leather. This kind of tough, and what you see around his neck is that you've seen a lot of werewolf fetish items. These items that have had spirits infused into them in order to give you supernatural abilities that the spirit will provide you in physical form, having been provided that through an actual item. That werewolves have these fetishes and all sorts of things, and they're usually something very natural. They're usually something very like made out of tree bark or stone or iron or something like that, and they have like leather straps on them, or they have like straw or stuff like that, and they have carvings and all these sorts of different things, very nature centered. What he has around his neck, there's a leather strap, but on the end of that is that marble-sized orange globe that looks like it might be glass, like a marble, but it's like orange, reddish, yellowish, marble. Basically, it looks like he has a marble hanging from his neck. It doesn't look like a werewolf fetish item.
Well, good to see you face to face.
I do not fear you. You have nothing you can do to harm me.
I don't think the others speak too highly of you.
I do not care what the others think of me, because I will not live through this campaign as it is. I do not care about that. It is not whether I get to have it's not whether I get to have my own life. It's whether or not my life will have an impact on the future lives to come. My influence, my plan, my plot, my reverence, my preaching, my guidance has enabled all this, and it will enable the next generation and the one after that, and so on. This is my last stop. Well, not this pit, but this campaign is my last. And I embrace that because I have a higher purpose to the world, to Gaia herself, and to my kin. Unlike you, unlike your tribe, who can't see further into the future than perhaps the next 10 seconds that's right in front of their face. I have planned this my entire life, and it's finally coming into fruition. Humanity will fall. The next 100 years, humanity will fall altogether from this world. And it will be a glorious, glorious day for Gaia. And this and I will be held as the savior of all life in this world.
You're completely mad. You plan on the downfall of our entire kind is what it'd be. You'll be
How
damning
so?
yourselves and every one of us.
How so, Red Claw? Tell me.
I already told you. Humans are numerous. And you describe them as parasites, but they could be just as every bit as cruel. And when mind is put to task, when they see the thing that they fear most come upon them, they will react in kind and in turn.
You
They will
think I
not be
fear humans? You think I fear humans? Even if humans were to rise up, I'm totally willing to lop off one arm to save an entire life. Humans do not concern me. Their cunning does not concern me. They are nothing but insects. They are nothing but lower forms of life. And once we have all our brethren on our side on this plan, there is nothing that can stop us. There will be absolutely nothing that can stop us. There's Garu among the ranks of humans, which I find disgusting. But just like you, they can be taught out of it. They can be shown the error of their ways, and they will live. Their children will live, their parents will live, their lineages will continue on. They will be heroes, they will be praised in song. There will be martyrs. Whereas those who hold on to their blinded, misguided ways and views will be suffocated out of this world, stomped out.
You wish to bring back the old days.
You could say that.
That's what caused a lot of this trouble. You not hear the tales?
You mean the War of Rage, do you? That was misguided. It was completely guided by emotion, which is what I am battling against here. Your reaction is an emotional reaction. You feel an obligation to humanity and those our kin have wronged in the past. That is as much of a misguided and blinded reason to do anything. We will fulfill every role that is needed to run this world. We can do it. We are built for it. We are the only ones who walk between both physical and spiritual. We are the ones who penetrate the gauntlet. We are the only guardians of life on this world, and we will take up our challenge and our duty for that. We will hold to our guns, and the only way Gaia will ever heal the wounds she's already gotten from the scourge of humanity is if we stomp all of humanity out before the wound gets to fester. It will heal in time.
Huh. That's some plan you have there. Well, what do you plan on doing now, then?
The plan may be crude and simple and straightforward, but that is what works. What doesn't work is this tribal thinking that all of our kids seem to hold dearly, as you hold simply too dearly. You pledge allegiance to your tribe over your own life or the lives of your future kin to come or the kin that are about to be born. I have seen things you couldn't even imagine. I've seen what is to come of humanity if it's left unchecked. I have seen what happens to us if we step to the sidelines and allow humans to coexist peacefully with us in the world. I have seen what happens when nothing is enough. I have seen when not only will they take down few trees to build a little village, they will tear down the entire forest to build a giant city. They will fish all the fish out of the waters to feed their kin hundreds upon hundreds of miles away. They will build giants. They will build things that demand fuel and food of the earth that no one can provide, and they take down everything in their way. They build monsters that spew black smoke and eat up our forests. They eat up our wildlife. They eat up our lakes, and they spew nothing but shit and pollution and toxic agents into the earth, into the sea, into the oceans. They destroy this earth because, like you, they cannot see further than the inch away from their face. They are the destruction of this world. Humanity is the key to the apocalypse. We will end it. We will sacrifice whatever needs to be sacrificed to prevent the red eye of the apocalypse from ever appearing in the sky, because it will be the humans who bring it about. Make no mistake about it. I will take no matter how long to make you see it. You will see it, Red Claw. I cannot show the future to you as it was shown to me, but I can at least try my best to make you reason.
I don't believe you. The oceans are vast. You cannot fish them all out. You see how big they are? You speak of things that have not even come to pass.
There will be a time when the children of your children, their children's children, will beg for the opportunity to come back and make the change I'm about to make. And I'm asking you to stand by my side as I make it. As I save all life in this world from humanity.
They bring about the apocalypse, you say?
That's right.
The worm?
The
Do they
worm
bring...
will have a field day with that. The worm is nothing more than the death itself. The humans will simply disrupt the balance that the Weaver is holding up. Weaver is doing its damnedest to keep the balance in order, but as the humans grow, they spread. They spread and they breed. They breed like rabbits, and every place will be choked with humans pouring from every orifice of the world as they simply take, and consume and produce nothing but death. They will bring about conditions for the worm to spread, and at that point in future, it'll be a mercy for the worm to take the entire world. I'm preventing that from happening, you understand?
You speak of things that you've seen in visions, yes?
As true as you and I.
I'm not sure what to say. I'm not even sure what to think about it.
Well, think about it all you will. I will be back to ask you about how you're feeling a little while later. I'll see you again soon. And you see that he crouches down and, like a jackrabbit, just leaps off of the ground with mud just exploding from between his feet, and he just leaps in through one of the holes in the grid and just to the other side, and that's the last you hear from him in a long while again.
Hmm.
And it's again another, let's say, 5 hours again. It's not a specific cycle, but it's not like he's waiting there with a stopwatch, but it's it's let's say about 5 hours.
Hmm.
Again, you're left there still feeling the same way. All this having to breathe through your mouth and almost this waning sometimes when you breathe, and your body feeling so heavy that you again it's a chore to walk around and move around.
Is there anything else in the pit besides some of the bones that I find? Any like vine-like materials or anything?
No, not really. There's you find as you crawl around that there's the bones of probably around 5 dead bodies.
Oh, jeez. Hmm. I'm going to try to use the bones to climb up the muddy sides once more.
Okay. Again, sadly to say, the reaction is pretty similar. It's you can't get any force under it because as soon as you put any weight on it, it just goes down. It's like, warm butter. It's it's not doing anything except for again filling you first with excitement over trying a new plan, and only like filling you with bitterness as it doesn't work at all.
Okay. Well, at this point, I'll just conserve my energy, and she'll sit there on her knees with the skull in front of her, just staring at it until the next appointment comes around.
As you lay there, a little while before he comes, you hear thunder. You hear this, and you feel this kind of, the wind doesn't come to the pit itself, but you hear this kind of, and it's been so silent that it's almost like this kind of, like the air is filled with loud noises type of thing, and it's like there's this ill wind in in the air, this kind of, and you hear this kind of the thunder just going again in the distance very loudly, and as that starts to go, and you're kind of like, that takes you by surprise there, you see pure love come to the edge of the pit, but he looks like he's in a hurry and he's anxious. He comes to the pit and says, "Red Claw,
What?
why do you harbor humans?
She
Why do you
just,
harbor humans, Red Claw? Answer me right now."
she has her hands out, and she'll just look at him with her shoulders shrugged. I don't know why. Why don't you ask our elders?
just might do that. And when he kind of turns with his head all scared, and when he does that, there's this little moment of this almost like this existential little outer body type of thing when he turns his head and you see the ball on a string, the necklace like turn in his head as he turns his head quickly, it kind of flows in the air, and it's almost like this slow motion, high definition little close up of that, and you hear this whisper, this kind of, and then back to normal as pure love is looking at you and said, "You're a lost cause. You're a lost cause. You stupid suckling pup enabler pig shit." And it again spews with this orange mist coming out. It spews this vile burning stuff on you again. And the sensation is similar, only now you get some sort of a personal satisfaction over him doing it out of frustration and losing patience and not getting to you type of thing. That he clearly did it because he didn't succeed type of thing. And he does it and immediately afterwards runs off with the thunder and strong winds in the air. You with the image of that necklace strong in your mind, and this kind of what was that? What did I sense? I don't know, but at the same time, again, you know, the stuff pouring against, you know, all of your places, and this is the third time. Is it the third? Yeah, it's the third time this has happened to you, and already it's like, you can look at your hands and your body and you can see that you're completely like your surface, so the surface of your body looks like utter crap. There's clumps of hair missing. There's this very red, like itching, you know, flesh that has bumps here and there, and you look diseased, and you know, you look really bad. And it's, again, you know, corroding and burning, like not like alien or not like, you know, xenomorph blood or anything, but it's just hell on your skin and your fur, and it.
I feel the pain so much. I scream and I yell, but I take that energy and I internalize it, for I know I'm going to need it to recover. But for all the hours that pass, all the agonizing pain that I've endured, that I'm that much closer towards getting out. She feels in the back of her mind, and she gets on her knees and she clutches the mud as tightly as it squeezes between her fingers and slips out into the water, bubbling upwards. And she just holds herself there, shaking, shimmering, but brimming with anger. She wants to get out of there badly. And she looks and focuses her attention on that skull, and she does not want to end up like these and so many others before her.
As that pain and your determination starts to take a stronger hold of you, it'll as well also wind up being things that exhaust you and frustrate you over failed attempts of getting out of the pit, to the point where it'll turn these this willful attitude of yours, this need and want to get out of there no matter the cost and no matter what you have to do, this trying to come up with plans and being headstrong about it. Every time you try and fail, it's not only like, okay, that's one thing that didn't fail, that's also a meter of, you know, desperation and a meter of of this kind of giving up mentally kind of starts to climb. And as time goes on and on, it's not after something like you would expect to be 5 hours passes by, you don't see anyone. After 6 hours goes by, no one. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, so on and so forth. Days go by as you try all the tactics you can come up with, and they don't seem to do anything, mostly because your body is so immobilized and weakened by this dish that's emitting this orange vapor on top of the grid there.
Actually, if it's going to be that long, what she'll do is she'll gather all the bones that she can find, and she'll begin to bite down onto them and like get to the marrow and begin to suck that out for what little nourishment that she can manage to get. And she remembers this back when she first changed. She remembers going on that hunt, and she remembers sucking the marrow out, and she so desperately does this thing. And she sees the sharpened points now that have been created on this bone, and she thinks of them as some sort of weapon now, and she'll try to keep those points sharp the way they were, and she'll like harbor a bunch of them around, and even what she'll do is she'll start to shove them into the mud a little bit, into the position where should someone land down once more, they're going to have bone spears up their foot, and she's going to sit on the other side and just wait as she tries to savor what little marrow that she can find and conserve her strength as much as possible.
Okay, that's great, because it'll be a long time. It'll actually be like a month.
Oh.
You will suck on those marrows. You will find, as you dig deep enough, when you dig like as if you were hunting for giant catfish or something, where you have to like dig your entire like arm into the wet mud or something like that. It's like you dig your fist as far as you can dig it into the ground, and you can find some insect life there that you can protein, precious protein, and for an entire month, about a little over 4 weeks, you will be there reserving strength. You will live by the marrow, the small insect life from the rainwater every once in a while dropping by, and from your sheer force of will to survive. And
I will add this. I think after that long, that skull will sort of become her Wilson. So she'll have it plastered up against the side of the mud wall to her eye level as she paces back and forth. Obviously not in the section where she's planted her bone spikes, but she'll pace back and forth, talking to it and stuff, and just trying to keep herself focused on the task at hand. When I get out of here, there's going to be a vengeance. I am the Get of Fenris. You understand me? Yes. And when I get out, yes, we're going to find Ox Spear. We're going to make him pay. You'll answer for what has happened. Yes. Humans. Why do we keep them around? No, shit! No! Ah! And that would just keep on back and forth.
Awesome. That's awesome. That's exactly what will be happening throughout an entire month that'll go by. For those of you who have been following all the other preludes, if you remember what happened at the end of John Poland's last prelude session, was that he was tasked with finding a POW of the tribe itself, and this is where we will end this session. And the next session for this prelude, we will actually include John Poland himself in this prelude. So it will be the three of us for the third session of Phil's characters of Red Claw's prelude session here. And yeah, a month will have passed. So take that into consideration when we start the next session with your character's mental state. And also, John, we will remember those spiky bone traps waiting for you down at the pit. So you can thank Phil for that. So yeah, I'll just cut the broadcast here and leave it at that. So we'll pick it up as soon as possible, most likely next week, but if not, then soon after. So thanks for watching, and be sure to tune in next time. Next time, same hammered channel, same hammered time. That was pathetic. Goodbye.